hasn't been taught in mainstream, that isn't really out in the open, kind of has been hidden for many reasons. But now we're seeing this
paradigm, this
evolution
shift.
And this remembrance, and it's more, we're coming into this world that is more open to this remembering instead of an outcasting of it, as we've seen in the past.
So thank you. And I'm about ready to go live on Facebook too. So, and in here, and thanks, as everything starts coming on, I'd like to welcome everyone to Bridges Live. I'm Dr. Paul, and I'm glad to have my newfound friend, Miss Joan. Joan's going to tell you more about herself. But if anyone have any questions about on our live feeds, and we don't get to it right away because we're so engulfed in our conversation, that we'll get to you sooner than later or later than sooner. How we will get to you when we get to you. How about that? So welcome to Bridges Live, Miss Joan, and welcome the Goddess Temple too, because you combined all that. And so first, let's tell us about yourself and why you're doing what you're doing.
That is such a loaded question.
Yeah, it is. Boom!
It's people come in and like, oh, what do you do and how do you do it? I'm like, that is so loaded, and we have a lot of, But I love that. Thank you for having me here. Again, my name is Joan. I am the creator of the Goddess Temple. This has been I am seeing that this has been something that has basically my mission in life. Everything that I've experienced up to this point has been culminating to this creation of the Goddess Temple. And basically what I do is I create a sacred space for women or anybody who is wanting to learn more about their divine feminine. Everybody has that space within them. And most everybody are females. And I really created a sacred space, a sacred container where we can really hone in and embody our remembering in our lineage as goddesses, as oracles, as miracle workers, as medicine women. And we have been repressed for such a long time. We've been looked at as like witches or, people doing, really bad magic spells or whatever, but that's really not the case.
No.
When we really deep go down into it, it's, we tap into our lineage that is very mystical, very magical, very miracle working, very much in the miracle workings. And, I see that this is something that, that we need in this world where women can come together and in a safe container where they can remember their magic, where people won't point fingers at them or blame them or outcast them. And a lot of women that come into the temple, they're like, you know what, this feels so familiar. Why does this feel so familiar? Why does this feel so safe? It's because you've had cellular memory of past lifetimes or even parallel lifetimes of being this goddess that can bring in the miracles, that can bring in so much magic into your lives. So
I've been teaching for a long time about understanding who you are, and that's part of that cellular memory. That repressed self or that organic self that has been taken away. It can't be taken away from you. So we got to be careful that it's actually gone away from you. Actually, no, it's always been inside of you, and you have to pull it out. And that is exactly what you said. It's something that emerges, comes within you, outside of you, and you giving that space to women. And most of the people who know me as Dr. Paul, Grandmaster Dyer, they know I have 7 daughters. So that in itself is like, what? So letting my daughters know how beautiful they've always been, will be, and can be, it is a joy for me. It's a joy for their mothers. It's a joy that we created that space and saying, you are wonderful queens. You are wonderful women. And yet, they still have a difficult time in their own space. And that's different than giving them that space. So how can you talk to these women out here, and thank you for doing it, that you have a safe space that you can do this?
Oh, that is such a beautiful question. I was literally about to say how to do this. So what happens is, when we incarnated into this world, because of so many outside energies or outside forces, like, for example, family energy, you come into this world as perfect and divine. However, as you start to grow up, we start to absorb unconsciously or subconsciously, whether you know it or not, you start to absorb different energies that are not in alignment to your own divinity.
Correct.
And we allow those things to absorb. Again, sometimes we don't even know that's happening. So we absorb society, we absorb politics, we absorb religions, we absorb other people's judgments on us. So that kind of, by having that happen, that really distorts our energetic body or energetic field. And it's kind of like having like some soot on a window. It's dirty and it's not really clear, so it gets infiltrated with just like dust. And
but you know what's the great thing, and you said it, a lot of people don't even know that their window's dusty or dirty, and they're like, this is a great view. And then when someone comes in their space, they're like, clean, wicka, you're like, ta-da, you're like, oh my God, you're like, that's who you've always been.
Yes, exactly. And so what happens is we get infiltrated with all these energy that is not ours. And if we don't clear it up, first of all, we can't see. We're seeing out of a filter, right? And so then it's like, and we know that we are divine and perfect, and it really causes a lot of this energetic friction within ourselves. And then we start to invalidate ourselves. We start to look for outside validation. We start to doubt ourselves. We start to not know which way is north. And so when we really can see what is our energy and what is what I call foreign energy, what is not ours, then we can start to clear out these filters, and then we can see who we truly are. And so that is the basis of what I teach, and what the foundation of what I teach in the Goddess Temple it's honestly, and this is all within your sovereignty. You have the power to say, invalidation is not my true self. Family energy that really doubts me, that's not my true self either. So I can allow that to exit my energetic field, allow that to clear, and then I can see from a really pure and immaculate standpoint, and then be able to maneuver all areas of my life from that from that point.
When we have these, I've been a practicing Buddhist for over 30 years, and we go through these stages of understanding and recognition. And it keeps going back to understanding. You can recognize, then you can understand, and then you can recognize, and you can understand, and you can understand your recognition. So you keep going through these cyclical cycles, right? But you're not staying stuck. You're moving forward.
Absolutely.
I think when we talk about finding your divine self, there's a movement process in that. And so many things in our environment are collectively trying to repress that, like you stated. It's done on purpose. I don't want to allude that it's some sort of misconception. No, it's done on purpose to hide and suppress who you are, mentally, spiritually, physically, and with your auroras and in your next stage of life. How are we going to recognize that that's being done to us if we don't recognize ourselves?
Absolutely. And I think that's also something that has been kind of undercover too, is we're afraid to even look at these foreign energies that can be around us, because society, there's also a lot of movements about like power, positive thinking, only thinking positive thoughts. But if you can't see, it's like having a car, like, that the car isn't working right, and you don't know how to fix it until you really see it. And that was one of my things. I was so afraid to see like the ugliness, the evil per se, because for example, if I come out and I say I want to win $1 million in the lottery, And then boom, there's so many other people that are against me having that manifestation. And that kind of infiltrates and distorts that desire or that wish. So we teach, or in the Goddess Temple and in what you're practicing too, we help people have a safe place so that you can see, you don't have to be so afraid of the dark. And that's why a lot of us, light workers and people are here so that we can hold your hand in the dark and, hey, look, you flip the switch. This is what it is. And you have the choice to allow that to exit your space or not. So
your personal story, how did you find yourself? I know me personally, ex-military, PTSD, sexual abuse as a young boy, just things, seeing a lot of death, and I did have to work through all that trauma. And I do believe people in our society, whether it be a strong black community, they're trauma ridden. And if you don't accept your trauma to work through it, you stay traumatized. So you stay sick and sickly. So how did you come to your divine self?
I love that. So I'll share a story with you that I don't tell a ton. I don't share this side a lot, but I see that this will help. This will help some people who are listening. So when I was younger, so my background is immigrant family from the Philippines, first generation. I grew up in Texas where there was no other Asian families back in like the 80s, and we were the only ones. So we did experience a lot of the racism, a lot of the just immigration. My parents couldn't speak English. And I grew up always wanting to be that blonde-haired girl. Why was I different? Why did I look different? Why did I have to look different? And that's how I kind of grew up in school, always wanting to be like everybody else. And then another thing happened in my childhood. There was this one moment where... So, 2020, that it was a show, I don't even know if it's on anymore. So there's this 2020 episode that my mother was really, really wanting to watch. And she recorded it on like a VHS and everything. And so I saw her watching it. And it was an episode on exorcisms. And so there was images of hell and demons and demonic fury images. And I got so freaked out. So freaked out to the point where my fear was possession. I was afraid to wake up in the morning because I was afraid I was going to be possessed. So from then on, I had deep anxiety of like fearing, deeply rooted fear. That's the basic basis of it. And she told me and she knew that like from that point I was very traumatized, but for her, she kind of just dismissed the fear of it. She's like, this is not real. Just put it under the covers, really didn't address it. And so this fear would always just keep cycling and cycling about. And it wasn't until I was able to look at the fear, being able to face these fears, seriously, demons, demonic energies trying to attack. And, so then I've been on this road of facing fears and manifesting, desires that I want in my life, because I knew that that's not, living in fear is not what I wanted. And until I was able to say, hey, let me look at all of these distortions in my life, then that was when I was like, oh, okay, you have sovereignty over everything over your life. Right. Then you're able to really filtrate through it and learn and grow and expand and teach. And for a long time, I also was looking for outside validation. I always looked for outside validation. And that was another point too, where I was like, you know what, I need to stop looking for this outside validation until I can find validation within myself. Then nothing I go to will work. So I spent, when I was looking for outside validation, I spent time and money with like these, high, mentors and coaches. And I still kept going through this loop of, trying things and failing, trying things and being disappointed. And again, until I was able to find my sovereignty within myself, then I was able to expand and grow and manifest and teach and heal and not be so afraid to tell my stories.
Living is so beautiful, isn't it? And living is different than surviving. And living takes work to work on yourself and to work up. And that's what living is to me. It is everything else. If you're not working on developing your true self and knowing who you are, you're surviving. And that survival mode puts a lot of people into that box of fear. And when you said that, you just kept circling and circling, and that's fear. And I know, I mean, I've written books myself, and there's books out there, and everyone talks about conquer this, conquer that, conquer this. But I don't think people understand where it is in their life. So how can you conquer something if you don't even know where it is? It's kind of like clean your house, but my house looks clean. All right.
Absolutely. And as I was searching, and I was actually looking at this fear came in so many different ways.
Right.
Ancestral fear, parallel lifetimes fear, even attached to my old self kind of fear, and tethers and soul contracts and demons, right? Yeah. And so until you're able to see these tethers and contracts and demons and know how to extract, right? And have that sovereignty to do that. Every day I see it, I see it kind of hidden in different places, and I'm like, ooh, I got you. You can't hide from me. You're out.
So what I do, and I've used this story a ton of times, it reminds me of Family Guy. I don't know if you ever watched the show, but Peter befriends death with the sickle, right? And at one show, the death comes to Peter's door, and Peter's like, oh no, right? He's like, no, I'm not here for you, Peter. And so Peter ends up having this beer and talk, and they're hanging, death is hanging out on the couch. He's like, oh, I got to go do some work. And I look at those demons and those fears the same way. I'm like, it's like hide and go seek. Like, I see you today, and they're like, "Ooh, you got me again." And then they're like, "All right, well, all right."
Yeah, absolutely. I love that because this kind of thing. What we do is, a lot of people look at it and it's like, "Ooh, it might be scary, it might be dark, it's serious," but it's really not serious. Like how I teach my classes are not serious at all. We're joking around, we're dancing, we're feeling sexual, we're even feeling sensual. So it's a lot of people have this misconception of something spiritual as something being so serious, but I love that how you brought that up with the Family Guy, because it's hilarious.
It's funny.
I love how that works out.
So you must get, and thank you, Joan, for coming on. Remember, we were talking to the goddess of the Goddess Temple. You can find her on Instagram, Facebook, and all social media, and she'll tell you that more. But I want to hear why do you and I know you probably do, because I know other people who do the work you do, especially women. They get this pushback of you're just being sexy, and it goes right over their heads. How do we talk to that to say it's so much more?
That I'm seeing that when women judge other women, that's a deeply rooted wounding. Women against women have been, we've been betraying each other for lifetimes and ages. And it didn't used to be that way. It did not used to be that. We used to support each other. We used to have each other's backs. There was no such thing as gossiping or comparing. Yeah. There was that time. And in a parallel universe, there is that time. And that's why this is all kind of arising right now. And for the women who are, being really judgmental, that can be like, oh, she's just being too sexy, kind of just step back and understand. And when you're triggered like that, that means something.
It does.
That's a warning sign. That's like red flag, check yourself. And when it is being a trigger, when it's triggering you, that's, again, like I said, it's a red flag. And if you're not seeking that, not honing in why you're being triggered, you're kind of blocking yourself from your own miracles, your own divinity, your own essence. And so for me, when women, you know, I post all my dance videos and stuff, and I'll get messages from women, and, you know, I'll say, thank you for your opinion. I kind of hope that you figure out where this trigger is coming from. If you do need help, you can contact me. So yeah, it's just a trigger. What it is, it's just a trigger from a very, very painful, maybe traumatizing lifetime, or a lifetime memory, or a cellular memory that's wanting to be healed. It's triggering you because it wants to be healed.
And, you know, and I'm going to speak for the masculinity side, that men who find themselves attracted to it is missing something in their life.
Absolutely.
Because it's you know, and it's not, because this is not meant to attract you. This is meant to connect you. There's a difference between attraction and connection.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the same way. Because again, it's kind of deeply rooted into an experience. And if there's a trigger, or if there's any sort of kind of experience, then there is something that needs to be healed, and it's actually medicine for you. It's like, okay, this is a reminder that you might need to think some of these things through and see where it is in your life.
If you can give someone a help to start to recognize themselves, what would that be? Like, what would it look like for them? And I know this is so arbitrary because it's so different for everyone. You can get it in cheesecake. I know, because I love cheesecake. So you can find yourself in many things, but it's being aware, I think, is what. So how would you help someone open up that awareness, for one?
Absolutely. So a lot of what I teach is we tone into our clairvoyance, our psychic sight. And we do that in meditation. Sometimes you could open your eyes, sometimes you can close your eyes. But can I teach like a really quick...
Absolutely.
Quick tool that I love, and it's like the basics. It's the basics of what I teach, and being clairvoyant and being able to clear out, you know, let's get into a spot where we can see and allow things to exit. So if I can walk you guys through something, again, that's really basic, that I use on the daily, and I also use this on my clients as well. And I teach this too. So, you know, I love teaching stuff. So can I walk you guys through like a really quick thing? It's something super easy. Anyone can do it. My kids, I have a 7-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 12-year-old, and they do this on the daily before school, and it's you know, it opens up doors for so many miracles. So I'll just walk you through it, and then we'll actually practice it. Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay. Because I love seeing how to actually do this. You know, we talk about the benefits of it, but I really want to walk everyone through like how to do it. So we're just going to imagine, and honestly, to answer your question, how to distinguish, you know, what's yours, what's not yours, and how to do that. One of the basic things in clairvoyance and in psychic sight is grounding, and a lot of people teach it differently. I know in YouTube, a lot of people think of it as like roots going down to the center, going down to the earth, which is great, which is amazing. And that's going to work for you for until a certain time when you need to grow a little bit. Here's the thing with that is that you can get ungrounded so easily if your roots are only planted, 2 feet under, and you're only grounded as deep as you can imagine, as deep as you can imagine. So in this meditation, we're going to imagine being connected to the center of the earth, the deepest point where we can be grounded. And not only do we ground and feel secure and safe and steady and strong, but this tool also is able to allow us to see and to be able to distinguish what is ours and what's not. So does that make sense?
It does. It does.
Okay. And I love working with Mama Earth because, the feminine, we're
here. She's been here.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I was raised Christian Catholic, and I always taught, look up to the heavens for help. But Mother Earth is equally, and if not more powerful. So,
and she touches us all the time.
I know,
physically, spiritually,
and we close ourselves off so easily.
Yeah,
and like right here, she's right here.
She's right here.
She's right here. Okay, and I'm seeing that for those of us watching on replay, I'm already seeing that there's a lot of invalidation energy in the space. I'm already seeing that there's the family energy in our spaces. That's a big one. And then I'm also seeing expectation.
That's
so much expectation.
Yeah, so much.
So we're going to see that here in a little bit. So if you want to, you can close your eyes.
And I will.
Or for those watching, and just take a few deep breaths. And just remember that this is a little kindergarten class. We're here to have fun. This is not serious. Kindergarten is so much fun. All we do is have fun. And what my favorite thing to do in kindergarten is imagine. And for a long time, our imagination has been kind of pushed off to the side. Sometimes we don't even believe our own imagination. Especially as growing up, a lot of people told me, oh, that's not real because it's not in it's only in your imagination. But let us imagine today. Let yourself be fun. And so just from your imagination, just imagine the center of the earth. And she could look like what you see in the textbooks, like fiery and lava and hot. Or she may look like a cave with like a ton of crystals. And whatever is in your imagination is absolutely perfect. And then from the center of the earth, I just want you to imagine a giant rose growing from the center of the earth. And this is a beautiful rose that is a gift from Mother Earth. And I love using the rose. It's very feminine, very magical, lots of geometry in the rose. And then as that rose bursts through all of the layers of the earth, it attaches to your butt. And you could even feel the roses on your butt, on the back of your thighs. And you all of a sudden feel so supported. You feel this nurturing that you've never felt before. You feel comfortable. You feel safe. And this rose does so many magical things. Not only keeps you grounded, but you see this switch on the left side of the rose. It also looks like, it could look like a button. It can look like a flusher on your toilet. And once you push this button, it starts to flush out any of your foreign energy all in your space, all in your body, all in your aura system. So go ahead and push that button. And then in your mind's eye, in your imagination, let's focus on the energy of invalidation in your body, in your space, and maybe even in your aura. It can look like a color. Maybe some experiences of invalidation are coming up in your head. And just allow that rose to help you drain. It's like a toilet draining down out of your body. Maybe even the word invalidation, you see it drain down into the rose. And then all of that invalidation goes back to Mother Earth, and she's able to recycle that invalidation into more positive energies. So she loves when we do this because now she has the energy to recycle. Yeah, lots of invalidation where I'm seeing where you were a kid and, people told you something that you didn't think was right. But it was very invalidating for you. A lot of this also invalidation is also points where people told you weren't good enough. You felt like you weren't enough. So you're just invalidated. Or a lot of failures. I'm seeing a lot of disappointments and failures just in the collective, all of that being drained down. And honestly, when was the last time you may have done this, looked at all of the invalidation in your space? Maybe it feels like pain. I'm seeing some pain, just as a collective, some in the back. So allow that pain of invalidation to go down. Okay. I'm already seeing a lot of shifting of the energy, so that's a big one. Okay, then I'm going to focus on family energy. I know that some of us may have had beautiful family experiences, which is amazing. But then, there may have been people that have had really rough family experiences. And even if you had a really good family experience, maybe in your space there is a lot of competition, because your family was so competitive to make sure that they looked good, they felt good, they were raising all their kids right, a lot of expectation energy. I had an aunt that would always tell me I was fat, no matter how fit I was, no matter how I looked, I would always not be enough. So that family energy of not being enough, going down. Looking at your space and allowing that family energy to go down the grounding rose. I'm seeing a lot of that family energy also lies in the heart. So allowing the family energy down the heart. Letting them exit your space. The only energy that should be in your space is yours. We're looking through, if you have all this energy in your space, you're living through many, many filters and lineages and ancestors. And the last thing that I want to focus on is expectation. As women, we are expected to look a certain way, feel a certain way, do certain things. As mothers and fathers, if we're not parenting right, there's that expectation. So a lot of the expectation, make it a color, or maybe you even see images, and just seeing all of that go down the grounding rose. I'm also seeing there's times where you're not sure if you're doing things right, making the right decisions, expecting a certain person to uphold their part of the relationship. Also, a lot of us are manifesting, a lot of us are creating, and when we create, expectation energy is notorious for getting in the way of those manifestations. So just allowing that expectation energy to go down, to exiting your space. Okay. And you just take a few deep breaths. I'm already seeing the sludge is coming off. It's like Windex, like you said earlier. It's Windex coming over our space, and now we're like, oh shit, we can see. Okay. And if you feel good, we can open our eyes.
Beautiful, beautiful work.
So that's how you do it. It's easy. It's that easy.
It's that easy, but it's that blissful. And for those of you watching, or look again, or recording, or share it later, practice this. Use this as a spot for you, not for you for something else, but for you. So, thank you so much, Miss Joan. How can people help you? How can people get a hold of you to learn more, to study more, to practice more?
Absolutely. Basically, Instagram is my mainstream, my main place to go. My Instagram is _goddess, GODDESS _temple, TEMPLE, the Goddess Temple.
Your home is here. We're here with Bridges Live with me, and just keep sharing. We'll keep teaching. We'll keep having these things, because I just think the more we awaken people into awareness, the more they will find the divinity, and the more they will find their true self.
Yes,
and
for sure.
I do agree. We are moving past this paradigm. I believe we're going into the golden age anyway through the Yukio period. But most people don't know that we were coming out of a dark age for a long time. But so now we're on our rise. We're on a rise up, and then our vibrations are up, and so good. So let's just keep vibrating and keep shimmering off those sicknesses that we have that we've kept for such a long time. Thank you so much. Thank you, Miss Joan. Thank you, everyone, for listening to Bridges Live. I'm Dr. Paul, and we'll be with you another day, another time. But remember, keep vibrating joy. Thank you.